This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Monday, November 28th, 2022. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving weekend and is still enjoying the leftovers from Thanksgiving Day, and we're so glad you could join us for today's episode. In today's show, I talk with American Coalition for Ethanol CEO Brian Jennings about the state of the industry and some ethanol policies that they're trying to get forward into legislation right now. We also take a look at that ag weather outlook, but first, let's run down the markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we are back from our Thanksgiving break, and we're at another trading day in the ag marketplace. And for a bit of analysis, we go to Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. Robin, what are we seeing going on in the grain markets today?
Well, initially, we did see overnight quite a bit of pressure on the markets, and a lot of that had to do with the protests that are expanding in China because of their, zero COVID policy and the lockdowns that they've had. One of the main cities, they've been locked in their houses basically for 100 days, and they've just had enough of it. So they're becoming increasingly more widespread, and some are even calling for the president to step down now because of that. But so that really rolled around in the markets overnight, and it hit a lot of the different commodity markets. But that seems to have been somewhat absorbed as we move through the day. Now, we had export inspections today, took place. None of them were very good. So that was a little bit more of a negative aspect to the market as well, with corn inspections at 11.9 million bushels. That was down 7.7 million bushels from last week. Soybeans at 74.3 million bushels, down 14.8 from last week. And wheat, 7.3 million bushels, down 3.4 million bushels from last week. But then we had some sales overnight that were recorded of 110,000 metric ton soybeans for unknown destination. But it seems like the markets were almost in an attitude of itself, maybe coming off of the holiday weekend. We started pushing some buying into the soybean market, which supported the corn market as well. Soybeans really moved about 30 cents off of their lows as we came to the close today, and corn moved back up to around unchanged. Now, wheat was the other aspect of it that kept a lot of pressure. I think corn would have been higher than it was, except wheat was down into double-digit losses, which was a little bit of surprising there, too, because some of the main wheat areas in Argentina, Buenos Aires and La Pampa, their production is estimated to be down 31% this year as far as their wheat production is concerned. That's a huge decline. But yet wheat stayed under pressure, even though we've seen quite a bit of a decline in the dollar over the last number of weeks. Wheat was just under pressure, and that kept a lid on the corn at this point in time. But I guess looking at the corn and the soybean market, as it pushed past some of the net bearish market movement that's out there, I think we got some fairly decent support under that market. All we need to do is just to see some increased demand, primarily from China, but also domestic demand. And if we can start to see that a little bit more, then I think we might see some more support underneath that market. So overall, it was a decent day as far as the soybeans and corn were concerned.
All right, and then what about the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex?
Well, there we saw not much going on. We just could not get anything going in the livestock market as far as cattle were concerned. Packers were active last week, even though it was a shorter week, and were able to purchase 15% of what they bought last week, were forward contracted for this week. So they still stayed in the market. Now, we did see the cash market last week close $3 to $4 higher. Now, we would have thought that that would have really put some buying interest from the traders into today's trade, because the thinner trade on Friday really didn't give us a good indication of anything. But that wasn't the case. The cattle that are contracted ahead for this week probably wasn't enough to keep the packers from having to bid aggressively. There's anticipation that we're going to see some higher cash this week, but it's just not translating over into the futures today. And some of that has to do with the anticipation that we could see some lower demand as we move through the month of December. Now, boxed beef at midday were mixed. Choice was up $3, select down $1.35. That's kind of like a broken record. A lot of mixed boxed beef prices almost on a daily basis. And then the feeder cattle couldn't even get any real support under it, even though corn was struggling for much of the day. So it almost gives the impression that maybe this cattle market is just kind of run out of steam, at least for the time being. Futures market is an anticipatory market, and maybe they're anticipating that we might be seeing some little lower cash prices, a little lower cutout prices as we move along here. Now, on the hog side, they came under a lot of pressure today. We could not really find support. Actually, they broke through the lower support that was established in that market early in November, and that propelled the market lower yet. So we've had some significant losses coming out in that. Now, we did see the decline in cutouts on Friday, and that's probably what they were trading somewhat today. But looking at the noon cutout price, it was incredible. We saw a $9.80 jump in the cutouts at the noon report. Now, bellies were up $36.90. That's huge. I don't know if I've ever seen bellies, or it's been a long time since I've seen bellies make that much of a jump. But even the anticipation of the higher demand that we should be seeing in December just was not enough to support that market. The path of least resistance was down. And like I said earlier, we did break through support. So it's going to be tough to get this market to climb back out of this hole.
All right, Robin. Well, lots of great information today. For those of our listeners and our viewers who would like to get in touch with folks at agmarket.net, how can they do that?
You can call me at 877-256-3253, or they can go to our website, agmarket.net. We have a main phone number there, and they can get a hold of anybody that will help them.
All right, Robin. Well, it's been great talking with you today, as always, and we look forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show.
That again was Robin Schmahl of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers closed. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. December corn is up 3/4 cent at $6.68 3/4. January soybeans up 21 even at $14.57 1/4. January soybean meal up 5.40 at $4.11.70. Soybean oil up 1.41 at $73.12. Chicago wheat down 18 3/4 at $7.56 3/4. Minneapolis spring wheat down 6 even at $9.51 1/4. Kansas City hard red wheat down 17 1/4 at $9.04 3/4. And December oats down 2 3/4 at $3.87 1/2. On the Merc, December live cattle down 50 at $152.57. January feeders down 142 at $176.87. December lean hogs down 317 at $80.60. Pork cutout down 182 at $90.37. And November class 3 milk down a penny at $21.03. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, I talk with American Coalition for Ethanol CEO Brian Jennings. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, the American Coalition for Ethanol is ready to see some changes in the ethanol industry once the new year comes around. The renewable fuel standard specified volumes through 2022. So that means the Environmental Protection Agency will have a lot more room for regulations when 2023 comes around. American Coalition for Ethanol CEO Brian Jennings said the EPA needs to focus on tackling mismanagement with oil refinery exemptions and promoting robust ethanol volumes.
So the RFS enacted by Congress specified volumes through 2022, but for 2023 calendar year and beyond, EPA has a lot more discretion to determine those volumes. And one of the things we're looking for, Riley, is EPA is set to put out their proposal for 2023 and probably the 2024 calendar year at the end of November, is to be on guard for mismanagement, to be on guard for making sure those volumes are robust. After all, this program has been badly mismanaged in the past under both Democratic and Republican administrations. There have been certain waivers and detours taken with the renewable fuel standard that have really undermined our ability to really move beyond E10 with E15 and E85. So what we're looking for is robust volumes, 15 billion gallons minimum. We want to make sure that the prior abuse that was inflicted on us from these small refinery exemptions is finally put to rest. We won a court case to put more guardrails or restraints on EPA with respect to that. And we're also looking for EPA to update its assumptions around the life cycle greenhouse gas emissions of ethanol in this RFS proposal. They're using an outdated sort of a 2010, 2009 model right now. Corn ethanol has just gotten better, more efficient, more sustainable, more innovative in that course of time. Our carbon footprint is significantly smaller than what EPA assumes it is. And so we're looking for that to be wrapped into this proposal as well. So a lot at stake for our industry in terms of what the future of biofuel demand will look like in the renewable fuel standard.
The ethanol industry has been making an effort for a long time now to make biofuels more widely accepted. This can be especially difficult with legislation forcing industry leaders to jump through hoops just to get approved. Fortunately, Jennings said the EPA, under both of the previous administrations, has shown a willingness to listen to what the ethanol industry has to say.
Yeah, I would say under either administration, there was absolutely a willingness to listen. I think what's been refreshing under this administration is that they quickly turned the page regarding these small refinery exemptions. They made it a priority right out of the chute to say, we're not going to be issuing these the way the previous administration did. That undermined a lot of our demand. And so the fact that the Biden administration is taking a better turn, I think, on small refinery exemptions has been encouraging. What we don't yet know, as open as they have been, as opportunities to communicate with them have been ample, but we really haven't seen what they outline for the future of the RFS, and we know that there's a lot of pressure within the Biden administration to try and electrify everything in the vehicle fleet. It's incredibly impossible to do, and so we want to see sort of a practical commitment to low carbon biofuels, and the best way this administration can demonstrate that they're going to make good on that is by issuing strong volumes in this RFS.
Over the past several years and through 2 administrations, E15 has experienced whiplash from ever-changing biofuel policies. It feels like we go back and forth every time a legislative decision has to be made about the established fuel source. Jennings said they're supporting legislation around the country that could establish year-round E15 sales and provide some much-needed stability.
Yeah, we've really suffered whiplash with respect to E15. We had E15 year-round approved under the Trump EPA. We lost that opportunity then in a court battle in 2019. And this summer, as gas prices were escalating to record highs, President Biden issued an emergency waiver, thankfully, that allowed E15 to be used all around the country over the course of the summer of 2022. So now we find ourselves potentially back into that whiplash situation if we don't rectify the year-round seasonality issue around E15 by June 1st of 2023. So a couple of things we're working on. One, we're supporting a request by 8 Midwestern governors to EPA to allow E15 year-round in their states. That's an important step in the right direction. We appreciate the proactive leadership of these governors, but that's not a nationwide solution. So the second thing we're doing is supporting legislation that is being authored by Senator Fisher of Nebraska to try and accomplish that national permanent solution in law. And so whether there's an opportunity during this lame duck Congress, and I think that's a small window of opportunity if it is, or next year in the 2023 session, we're going to be looking to advance that so we don't have to kind of keep suffering this whiplash issue with E15.
With the amount of money people were able to save at the pump this year from summertime E15, Jennings said there should be momentum to help them establish year-round sales.
I think so. The fact that people were able to save so much money at the pump with E15, and they had that, the fact that E15 is approved for more than 95% of the cars on the road. I think it's unfortunate that we suffered the court loss that we did that sort of removed that opportunity. But whether it's this governor's request or legislation, honestly, I do feel encouraged and optimistic about our chances to make sure that we have uninterrupted access year-round.
That again was American Coalition for Ethanol CEO Brian Jennings. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, honestly, we saw some really beautiful weather over the past weekend for that Thanksgiving break. Just great conditions to be outside and just enjoy being with friends and family. Now, as for right now, we're looking at some wintry mix conditions to go in, especially if you're in the west or northern part of the state. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, we've got a little bit of winter coming into the forecast. Today we have sunny to partly cloudy skies and crisp fall temps with breezy conditions in the north and west, highs ranging from the upper 40s to low 50s. Tonight we have clouds increasing with a chance for a slight drizzle and a wintry mix likely in the northwest, lows overnight ranging from the upper 20s to low 40s. And tomorrow there's a chance for rain across the state, and western Iowa could see a wintry mix, highs ranging from the low 30s to upper 50s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map, as you can see for tomorrow, Cherokee nice and chilly, high of 31 with that wintry mix. Shenandoah also seeing that wintry mix, but probably more of a slush as they have a high around 44. Des Moines rainy and 47. Waterloo a drizzle and 44. Albia, that same chance for rain and a high of 55, and Clinton will be mostly cloudy, giving way to rain and a high of 55. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. That's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find all of our video content as well as previous episodes of AMPM on our YouTube channel. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification button to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.